We learn most from our failures and problem solving, right? Especially when you're in the middle of transactions. The more you're involved, the more transactions you do, like the next transactions just becomes easier. The first deal we bought together was a 5-unit apartment building with a garage. Your first year in commercial brokerage, they tell you you're not going to make $1. I think what set me apart from a lot of people was I had a high level understanding of finance and personal finances, investment. For every 50 phone calls, you'll get 5 people that pick up. For every 150 cold emails, you get 1 response.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Commercial Real Estate Blueprint Podcast. I'm very excited for today's guest. It's Mher Vartanian. Sorry if I said that wrong or correct, but we met him in a mastermind group we're in. You know, you hear us talk about Commercial Academy a lot. I believe we met you in Raleigh the first time, and then we spent some more time with you and your partner in Cleveland, which we had a lot of fun. So yeah, it's awesome to have you on the show. You have a brokerage that you guys are obviously very successful in, and then also a capital side. Yeah, thanks for coming on, and I'll let you give yourself a little bit of an intro on both those businesses and yeah.
Great. Thanks, Graham. I'll just start off. We started off in brokerage. That's how my partner and I met at Marcus Millichap in Philly. And, you know, I joined them back in 2018. And I was new. My partner was in the business. He was residential in commercial, residential for majority of his career at that point, and commercial for 3 years at that point, 4 years at that point. And we meshed. We had a very solid working relationship, and then we just started really learning a lot together and just really plowing through deal after deal. And we're both very driven. We had a vision of what we both had an aligned vision of what we wanted to achieve in brokerage. And it's not only like our motto was we just wanted to be in the room at the end of the day. You know, whether we get the listing or not, just closing or not, like if we really define what we wanted in the simplest form, and that's for us to learn to be eventually principals. Everything was a learning experience, and it's like what you get. Even a failure, we learn the most from our failures and problem solving, right? Especially when you're in the middle of transactions. You know, there's a few guys in the group that we've transacted with actually on the brokerage side, and you know they can attest or how we do go through problem solving, deal negotiations. And the more you're involved, the more transactions you do, like the next transactions just becomes easier. You know, by the time we left Marcus Millichap, we've done over 250 commercial transactions in those 5 years. $1 billion in transaction volume over the entirety of our partnership. It was fun. I mean, we had the largest team at Marcus and Millichap. We had 13 junior agents at one point and 5 full-time staff members. And during that time, we kind of fell into our first commercial deal. You know, it was one of those things where it's like, you're always looking, you make a couple dollars here and there, and it's like the first deal we bought together was a 5-unit apartment building with a garage. Low price point, for me at that time, actually, it was like I came to the table with like the last $20,000 I had in my bank account, right? At that point, because when I start your first year in commercial brokerage, they tell you you're not going to make $1. Which is very true. Anyone who's brokered commercial transactions knows that. And then your second year, you'll probably make like 10 to 20,000. As I was entering like halfway through my second year, COVID hit. So I had a lot of deals lined up in escrow, under contract, where deposits hard. I will never forget. It was like that March, April, I was going to net like $60,000 in my second year of brokerage, which is a lot. And everything died because of COVID. World shut down. And Craig and I it was a week where, remember the first week of COVID where we just couldn't work from home for a week. And then it's like, after that week, we looked at each other like, we either survive or we don't right now. Because I couldn't afford it. He was probably not going to be able to afford it at one point. So we entered a period we called wartime brokerage, where we just double down on everything. And, 12-hour days, day in and day out, 7 days a week. We're in the office Saturdays and Sundays, just doing everything we can to keep deals stuck together. And we were it was problem solving after one after another. What can we do? We were doing like apartment tours were difficult during COVID. We were still trying to get those done. Closings, banks weren't open. We had to do remote closings, remote notaries, organizing everything because no one wanted to do anything. So we had to be the ones pushing everyone to do stuff. It got to a point where we were doing virtual notaries. I don't even know if that's kosher or not, but if you got a couple guys that say yes, it's going to happen, right? So, and long and short of it is, we hit like a groove, had a couple dollars in our pocket. We came to closing with like 40 grand, 20 each, conventional financing, and it's we did the normal thing, right? It was under market rents. We did slight renovations, increased rents, refinanced, and like out of that deal, I at that point it was the largest fee I made in my career on a refinance and on a deal that was less than $500,000, which in most areas that's a house, right? That's the average price of a house. And then using that money, we were able to buy invest in another property, us two, and then we were able to LP in another deal with one of our clients, and then that property that we LP'd in, we got refinanced out in 6 months. So that was another 1.5x. And it's like, and during that time, we ended up picking up another 5-unit and then a flex building, which, this was before industrial was really, really hot. We were buying vacant buildings, low price per square foot, low basis. Was at that time we knew low basis was the key for everything. We are enough of our clients because we were blessed because again we were always trying in the beginning we were always trying to enter the room and we were with these multi-millionaires. I call them tier 2, tier 1 investors, guys that own more than 5 assets. And then tier 1 is guys that own more than 10 assets. And it's like you ask them how they become successful. They all tell you the same thing, low basis, right? Like I bought it. You make your money on the buy. So you're not over leveraged, right? My rule is when you refinance, I still want my debt coverage to be 1.5, so you don't have to pull everything out. So, and that was great, but brokerage was so like rates went down, everyone remembers that market. And, as we kind of found deals as they presented themselves to us, we didn't really pursue them. They kind of just came to us. We ended up buying a 30-unit and then another flex building. And then we ended up finding some land that we ended up going through the process. We built a 500-unit self-storage facility. That was the first deal we syndicated. While we had that under contract, that's when I went to my first commercial academy event. And that opened my eyes in a crazy way. Like I didn't understand really what syndication was then. And it like just hearing the stories, learning from other people, it just like, I think that's when I realized I'm like, wait a minute, like this is something I can actually do as another business. And if I put some actual time towards it, this can be just as fruitful as the brokerage was. So, and during that time, again, we're closing deals. We actually, until this day, we've only syndicated 3 deals, and Craig and myself have just purchased other deals on our own. And it's just like, but in this environment, it's like we're actively pursuing other larger deals that we can take down ourselves. And yeah, it's been a great journey, especially in times like this when the brokerage world is slower. Deals are a lot longer, take a lot more time and effort to close. It's like this syndicating deals and buying deals. It's a great market to buy, I think. It's another, we're still in the game. If we're not working on a brokerage deal, we're working on a personal deal, our personal portfolio, leasing up our own stuff. And it's actually made us better brokers as well, because now when we're speaking to other owners, a lot of owners don't care if you own property, right? Especially if they have that abundance mentality. And I'm going to point in my career where I only want to work with guys like that, because if they think otherwise, it's like, what do we, there's millions of parcels out there we can all be buying, right? Not, the one deal I own isn't going to be the deal I'm going to become a trillionaire off of, right? I'm buying Class C industrial, but it's made us better brokers, because now we can talk in a different capacity, because we understand what they are saying and what they're going through, and we know the true cost of what R&M is, or if a sewer line goes, or roof or something. We have those, we know those prices because we're doing them ourselves. So it's vertically integrated.
Yeah, for sure. What I'm curious, like going back all the way to the very beginning, like what was it like, or what were you doing before brokerage? And then when you got into Marcus Millichap, obviously Marcus Millichap is a huge, I don't know the stats, but one of the biggest investment sales brokerages in the country. Yeah. Like, what was it like working there, being in that environment?
Prior, my first job out of college was at Goldman Sachs in wealth management. I studied quantitative behavioral finance, which sounds a lot better than it sounds cooler than it probably is. It's more the data science, statistics, psychology, the psychology behind money. And so I came to Marcus with like where our smallest client was $50 million in assets invested with us. Right. So I always when I came into Goldman, to Marcus, I started in the net lease world. And because I understood that well, it was like bonds, quote unquote. And, I think what set me apart from a lot of people was I had a high level understanding of finance and personal finances and like investment as like a background. So I was talking to investors and owners in a different language, basically, where I'm not just a broker trying to get a sale. I'm doing I'm coming to them more as an advisory position. When I came into Marcus, I came in with the mindset of, hey, let me understand and learn this and try it for a year. I'm like my early 20s isn't the money I make in my early 20s wasn't the money I was going to retire off of. I learned that from my guys at Goldman. So I said, let me learn, let me get in the room with these guys, see if another opportunity opens, whatever, right? And just kind of be open and explore. So I never went with I was never the pushy broker. Hey, sign the listing, do this, do that. I was really understanding what were their goals over the next 12, 24, 5 years, 12, 24 months, 5 years. And it's like, how can I help with that? Understand, what rate of return do they need? Monthly, like understanding their budget. So I was talking to them in a very different capacity. And then when it came to selling properties, it's like I understood finance at a high level. Underwriting real estate was very easy for me to grasp. So when I was on the phone pitching deals, I was really able to get into the nitty gritty of the financial statements and really explain how to buy the deal, make money in the deal, and how to get out of the deal. Those are the three things I would always focus on. And if I could properly articulate that, I could get someone into the deal. And that's what really helped drive my success. During that time, early in your career, you end up getting a lot of land deals, land listings, or retrofits, heavy renovation stuff, and that was great because it's like Marcus, they always say you can't make a career off selling land. It's because the timeline's so long. But I'm like, you know what? Like I knew I had the capacity to understand it and take on that kind of deal flow. I had very good organizational skills, and because of that, I was able to maintain a large portfolio of listings. So while we're dealing with the net lease stuff and multifamily stuff, which transacts faster, going through the process with these developers and learning how they go through the process, understanding, asking questions, seeing what works and what doesn't work, what are the constraints, how to value land properly. It gave me more insight there, and I was able to learn that side of the business in conjunction with making money, which was great. So I was like, in the position I found myself in, it's like I'm making money and getting my PhD in real estate, which is that's a great spot to be in.
It's a great combo.
Yeah. It's and then, getting junior agents, training them, mentoring them. And it was great, and teaching them how to underwrite and kind of just getting in front of as many people as we can. And then on top of that, I mean, at our peak of the bubble, we had 50 active listings. It's like, that's an organization,
It's a lot.
Yeah. And so it's like that's just our team, right? That was our guys. So we were really maintaining that or keeping that organized. So it was twofold, right? It was managing the transactions and getting new business, constantly getting new business, and also operating the business. So it was two-sided. So I early in my career, I wasn't focused on how to operate real estate. I was how to operate a business. So learning and my free time was reading those kinds of books, right? Those kinds of podcasts, YouTube videos, whatever. So because I saw this as an operating business, again, vertically integrating into an operator point of view for real estate, it's a lot of those things rhyme. So it was easy to kind of bring those two together.
So talk to us about how you organized that specifically, because I'm curious. As we try to work on our business, organize our business, and run our businesses, we work at City Plat as brokers, but Graham and I are always trying to find new deals. We're trying to work on our current listings. We're trying to sell our current listings and get the ones that we have in our contract closed.
And
tell us a little bit more.
Properties we own too.
Yeah, manage properties we own, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I micromanaged, which was not great. Again, early 20s, I'm single, living on my own, not even living on my own, right? I'm living in the office. So I was able to just and it was during COVID, right? So it was like everything was make or break. So micromanaging had a lot to do with it in the beginning, but that wasn't sustainable for how I wanted to live my life in the future. And everyone was working, a lot of people were working from home too, right? So it's like getting everyone focused and keeping them focused and not distracted. So in the beginning, it was every morning, 8:30 team call. Right? What are we working on today? What are the top, everyone goes down, we go down a list on everyone. What are the top 3 things you have to do today? What's top of mind? New agents, top of mind was always banging out calls. Goal setting. How many calls are you going to book for us, for your senior guys every week? How many in-person meetings? How many proposals a month? Right? We call it probability brokerage. I think that's the best thing Marcus taught me was probability brokerage. How many balls can you throw in the air at once? Because it's like for every 10 proposals, one's a listing. For every 5 listings, one's a closing. And if you use that as a metric, you'll always have a fee coming in. We'll make a fee at least every quarter. So I got to a point where I made 1 fee a year, 2 fees a year, then a quarterly, and then my goal was I want to close monthly, which is that's when you can actually live like this. So that's kind of like it's keeping everyone accountable, and in doing that, I had to keep myself accountable. I had to show up every day and actually do what I preach, which is very important. Sometimes you kind of lose it because it's like we're all young guys, and we're working on multi-million-dollar transactions. It's like this for us. It's like it's not just email shuffling. It's like for the client side, it's like we're fiduciaries for you. We take this very seriously because you guys are trying. It's important for these people. It's their retirement, estate planning, all these things. So we got learning how, like, our emotions have nothing to do with anything. You can never convince anyone to buy or sell anything. You have to understand that. Don't be salesy and be transaction oriented. That's what it always comes down to. So now we got it to a point where we have 2 meetings a week, Mondays and Fridays. Monday's planning the week. Friday, how do we wrap up the week? In the middle, and in the midweek, we're always checking in on each other, seeing who needs whatever. So it's like collaborating is key, and also it's like you don't have to double end every deal. Like our job is to transact, not to retire. There's no one deal you're going to close that you're going to retire off of. It doesn't work like that. This is a business that we operate. We're going to be doing this for a long time. So it's like the name of the game is stay in the game. So, and it's teaching people the longevity of the business and short-term, midterm and long-term goals is what I like to really go over with myself and my team, the guys on my team. So, and on top of that, buying real estate, it's not easy. Managing that stuff is difficult, especially like the first 3 properties you have, your operations are never going to be efficient. It's difficult. It's just like, because
that's what we're going through this morning. Literally, we have 3 properties between me and Jesse. We're hopefully adding 2 more this year. And I was like, I'm looking at property management softwares. I'm looking at how to integrate it with QuickBooks. Like, how can we make this as streamlined, as efficient as possible, so that when we do continue to add more on, we can make it like sustainable and scalable, but also not super complicated. Try to keep it as simple as possible.
Exactly, right? And it's hard, especially when you only have like 10 units, right? You're never going to hit efficiency of scale because the management software, you're spending $2,000 a year to manage 10 units. It's like, that's real money, right? Like it's not, so it's like at the beginning, it's like it got to a point after we took down the 30-unit apartment building. It's like we need management for like management came with that, so we stuck with it. And I'm like, all right, I'll manage the smaller deals, the 5 units here and there. And it's like, nope, we just just this year I gave those to my management company. Now they're managing 60 units for us. Great, and I manage commercial at the tenants because commercial tenants are most times easier to manage. There's less things. And for the self-storage facility we have, that's third-party management as well. I'm not going to sit there and lease out units. It's impossible. So you have to and you have to know where your skills are and what you need and where you need to be and what you need to do. But also it's where's your time best spent? For me, I want to handle the bigger things, bigger leases, bigger tenants, those negotiations for leasing or whatever. Roof, I don't want my management company finding a new roof for me. I'll do that, right? And I'll take care of all that stuff because that stuff matters more. But on top of that, finding deals, right? I want to find more deals. I'm still a fiduciary to my clients. I'm making more money on brokerage than my passive income right now. Passive. Right. I'm not at a point where I'm going to live off my real estate income. I know what I need to do to get there and how I can get there. And eventually at that point, maybe I'll do management in-house if I have the scale to support that. But the way Craig and I first saw it was our real estate was supporting our brokerage business in terms of paying for staff and other things, right? Like there's money to be spent in brokerage. So our passive income was basically our real estate income was basically supporting our brokerage business because that was our highest ROI. Mm-hmm. So
before the podcast, you mentioned something along the lines of you don't recommend principals being also running a brokerage business. Can you talk a little bit more to that? Since we're kind of at that point, I'm going to have to stop you right there. It's time for you to go all in on your commercial real estate dreams. Commercial Academy just dropped Fast Track. And honestly, this thing is a complete game changer for newbies. For one crazy low monthly price, you're going to get J. Scott Shields' comprehensive home study courses, which are decades of proven strategies recorded by Scott himself. They're going to be available to you the moment you get into the course. 2, you're going to get the powerful deal crunching software, opportunity evaluator, and quick check. So you're going to be able to run numbers like a seasoned pro in minutes, not days or even weeks. And this is just icing on the cake. Your Fast Track membership comes with a free ticket to the next Commercial Academy live event. That's your golden ticket to learn, network, and be in the same room where it happens. If you've been waiting for the perfect time to start, honestly, there's just no other better time to get started. This is your golden ticket opportunity. Remember, it takes one deal, one time to change your life forever. Text Fast Track to 888-653-1199 right now. Again, that's Fast Track to 888-653-1199. Commercial real estate is where real fortunes are built, and Fast Track is your shortcut to get in the game.
What's up? It's Graham here, and here's something that will blow your mind. Those massive shopping centers, apartment complexes, and medical buildings you drive by every day, they're not just owned by billion-dollar corporations. Regular people own them. We're talking real estate agents, medical professionals, electricians, fitness instructors, construction workers, everyday folks who made the decision to step into commercial real estate, and the guy who's been teaching them how to do it for 30 years, J. Scott Shield. Through Commercial Academy, Scott's mentored thousands of students over the past 20 years, and many of them have gone to build serious wealth and freedom through commercial real estate deals. These aren't unicorn stories. This is what happens when you learn the right strategies. Scott's packed his most valuable insight into a complete complimentary ebook called 7 Reasons You Can Make Huge Profits in Commercial Real Estate. This isn't fluff. It's a real strategy that helped create millionaires through Commercial Academy. Want to see what all the fuss is about? Text ebook to 888-653-1199 right now. That's ebook to 888-653-1199. Remember, it only takes one deal, one time to change your life forever.
Yeah, because if I started off as as a principal, I don't think I would go into brokerage, right? Because I would have scaled differently. The formation of my business would be different. It just inevitably would have, right? And even till this day, I don't own my own brokerage, right? I moved brokerages for various reasons. However, I don't want to be in the day-to-day with that stuff, managing that staff and focusing on that. I'm in a different place in my life, right? If 5 years ago, if you asked me, I'm like, yeah, I want to do everything. It's different now. So it's like I have a lot of guys that tell me, like, if I become a realtor, if I join a brokerage, I'll find more deals and I'll make more money. It's like we spend a lot of hours towards our listings, right? Selling, like,
Yeah.
everyone sees the brokerage commission on the HUD when you buy a deal, but it's like there's a lot that goes into that, right? There's a lot to go into buying a deal. Every deal that we purchase, that we sell, like it's basically like us buying a deal, right? We have to do our due diligence during it. We have to sell the deal 3 times. We have to sell the proposal to the client. We have to sell the deal to ourselves. Then we have to sell it to a buyer, and actually a 4th one. Then we have to sell it to the bank, right? We have to get it to appraise. There's a lot of time and energy that goes towards that. And I've been working with my partner and some of our younger agents for years now, so we know how to work with one another. I know who to call in what situation, and I know my strengths and weaknesses. The guys on my team know their strengths and weaknesses. And we play off of each other, because again, that abundance mentality is key for this. Because you need to, like, this isn't a one-man show, and there's stories of guys that are doing all this stuff one man. It's like, I get it, but it's like something has to give, and maybe it's our generation that thinks differently about this. But work-life balance. That is a real thing. I'm married. We want to start a family. A lot of people are in that situation, and there's not enough time in the day. And it's like, look, when you're dead, they're not going to remember. All right. So you want joy out of this as well. How much are you going to make, and can you make? And at the end of the day, it's like, if you in 10 years from now, making $30 million with having no one, like no family or whatever, what's the point? Right.
Yeah.
I've seen 100%. It so much. A lot of my clients, a lot of the reasons people, like when I started brokerage before, like, a lot of the reason people with the 3Ds is the reason people would sell: death, divorce, dispute. How many times death? How many times are the kids fighting each other after their parents pass to sell the assets, and they just want the money and run? And we've seen some crazy things happen at closing tables. Divorce, why are they? I'm leaving my 2nd wife, my 3rd wife. It's like, how many? Because they're never home, right? So you're learning from these things. It's like, there's two, like, and then dispute. Partners just argue all the time. We've all heard those stories. Not being clear in the beginning with what they both want. It's like, but then on the other hand, we're like, oh, real estate's generational assets, dynasty planning, generational wealth. It's like, but that's one thing, and then there's these 3 things that are haunting that. It's like, so that I always had that perspective. It's like, it's like, who cares if you have 2 million square feet under your portfolio? If you have, as soon as you're done, you're going to give it away. How many times have we sold that generational wealth? I've transacted that. So it's.
No, yeah, I'm with you fully, man. I think Jesse and I both are.
100%.
There's so many people who are like, no, there's no such thing as balance. Like, you have to work all the time, and then later you can balance. But it's like you're saying, I have 3 kids at home. It's much more important to me than, like, I probably could make a lot more money in brokerage. I probably could have a lot more buildings right now, but I also spend a lot of time with my kids, and that's so much more important. And I saw it too earlier on in my career. Like, I saw so many people, like several other brokers I know, were on like 2nd, 3rd wives, and it's like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
A lot of people I knew were going through stuff like that. I got a question for you though. So me and Jesse are, several years behind you, and we're in the process of trying to build a portfolio. Like I said, we have about 3 deals. And then Jesse just started brokerage last year. I've been doing it for a while, but me and him started working together last year. So we're kind of in the newer phase of working as a team on brokerage stuff too. If you could start over, because we don't have a team right now, it's just me and him. Mm-hmm. But we both already feel that stretch of, there's not enough time in the day. So like, if you could start over and build a team for all of it, like, how would you advise somebody to do it?
That the first, selling brokerage as a career, there's 2 ways of doing it. It's like, I remember the way it was sold to me, right? You can make $1 million a year. There's guys in this office right now that are making $1 million a year. Like, again, I came from a different world, not sales focused, like wealth management focused. And I'm like, so I always take everything with a grain of salt. I'm first generation American. I always think so there's something's always up, but I knew, like, I'm like, all right, like, I understand what the point of what they're saying is. And it's like, when there are younger guys, or anyone really, that's an easy sales pitch, right? Like, you can make $1 million a year. Okay, correct. Who is not going to want to work with you if you tell them that, right? But then there's a flip side. I don't have that conversation. I have the harder conversation. You're not going to make money your first year. You're going to have to live meagerly, live like below your means. You be conservative. How much money do you currently have? What's your monthly spend? How can you support yourself for a year? How much time can you put? This isn't a 9 to 5 job. Not in the slightest. I'm working. Like I say, I'm never working, but I'm always working, right? Like, I can leave right now and go do whatever I want, or I can spend the weekend in the office, which that's my decision every day. But it's because I know what I want. So are you going to put that work in? That this can be life changing. This business is life changing in both ways, and you're going to be the steward of that. There is, like, and the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. That's a fact. So it's again, probability brokerage. Are you making your 50 phone calls a day, 250 to 300 a week? That's what you need to be doing. It's like all these. I've heard every excuse in the book. Oh, the numbers aren't good. Oh, everyone's just no one wants to do anything, or this or that. It's like, no one's picking up. Oh yeah, no one picks up. Sometimes there'll be a week where you'll make 300 phone calls and no one picks up. It is what it is. Like, but it's like that you're not going to make, even if you get a listing today, that's not going to be a fee for 6 months.
Yeah.
So understand these timelines. We're in a world where instant gratification is forced down our throats, and this is like delayed gratification, which is like it's so different, and that's a mindset. That's a different mentality. It's very entrepreneurial. Not everyone has that. Not everyone has what it takes to do this. And so hire slow, fire fast. It's like, we've all heard that. Especially as you're going to have people join you. How much time are you going to put into them? That's time you're not putting in your business, right? And then 3 months in, you have to have the hard conversations. It's not, who cares if they're great guys? So I'm at a point in my career where I'm like, he's not going to make it. Like, what's the point if he leaves today or leaves in 3 months from now? What's the difference? I'm going to see the difference more in my life because it's my time put towards him. For him, he'll probably grind it out 3 more months. But it's like, is it worth it? I had to have that conversation 2 weeks ago. It's like, you're not putting up the numbers that you're supposed to put up.
Yeah.
You've been with us for 4 months, not a single meeting. And it gets to a point where it's like, I can give you all the resources in the world. I give my guys more resources than I've ever had in my life, because I have so much more software. Reonomy, LexisNexis, LandVision, Placer, all this stuff I wish I had. And I made my first $1 million without any of that crap. So it's like, if I'm giving you all this infrastructure and you're not able to book meetings or whatever, it's like something that the reason's something different. So it's having those hard conversations early and having everyone's goals aligned. That's key.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Yeah, that's really good. So you think like a lot of the stuff in brokerage, one benefit of coming from, you said you wouldn't be a principal and go back to brokerage, but a lot of people are brokers and then come into being principals. And a lot of those things tie over, like the prospecting, the outreach, finding the deals and stuff like that. So like, Aside from making calls, if you're an investor wanting go out and get deals, what other avenues are you doing to find deals, or would you recommend somebody to find deals besides calling? Calling is obviously, in my opinion, probably the most important. But
100%.
Outside of calling, what other things can people be doing to get deals? And
this is something I just learned in the last 8 months. That your relationship with other brokers is important. I've established a lot more relationships with brokers that are bringing deals to me, which is important. I'm trying the mailer thing. I know guys in our group that have been very successful with the mailers. I'm trying that. So, it's worth me spending some time and energy and money towards that. Having more dialing is like, I think the key. There's no magic bullet. I think a trifecta of those three things is the most important. Networking is important as well. It is, but like, how many networking events have you gone to and then you walk out with a deal? I haven't seen one yet. But getting FaceTime is important, right? So people know who you are, that you're still in the game. But yeah, calling is the number one, and then everything else is, I think, is supplemental to that business. Cold emails. One of my junior agents is good with those. He's tells but it's lower probability, right? For every 50 phone calls, you'll get 5 people that pick up. For every 150 cold emails, you get 1 response. So it's probability brokerage. It always comes down to that. How many shots are you going to take on target? That's the key to it. And there'll be 2 months where you'll see nothing, right? And then there'll be a month where it's a lot of traction. You being consistent is the most important thing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Agree.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, Graham and I have had this conversation over the last 2 weeks, but we do really good at cold calling, right? And then we're not doing any mailers. We get better at mailing. We're not calling as much. And it's just like this rotation of being consistent. So we've done deals from both. They've all worked. Go ahead. I see you say.
So and and then that's that next point is when to outsource some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like 100%. I'm on this call with you guys right now, and one of my VAs is getting an email blast out right now to 1,000 people for a listing we have, right? Mm-hmm. So building systems. This is a business. Yeah. System building is important. Mm-hmm. What are your marketing channels? How do you automate those things, and then show that give that automation to a VA, right? Give a VA, the VA game has changed our life. I mean, just because it's freed up so much of our time, and it's like we're on the road a lot, right? I'm on the road a lot. I think I've put on 37,000 miles on my car in the last 18 months. Jeez. Yeah, right. I drive a Tesla, so I don't drive anymore. It's a plug. I get a nickel every time I say that. But in reality, it's but I'm on the road and my business is still operating because on our weekly calls, our VAs are on there, right? They have their list of things to do. They are our backbone. So, and a lot of people don't like giving up control. It's I don't see it as control. I see it as these are the things that generate money, but it's it's that drip marketing. I don't want to be there for that drip. Yesterday morning was a great example. I had a plan for yesterday morning, and my 8:30 hits. I get a phone call. My entire morning shot. Right? You have to put out fires. But everything that everyone else is supposed to still happened. The business, no one would have known. Right? The emails are still going out. The follow-ups are still happening. The email shuffling, and then how to that book, How to Win Back Your Time. It's important. I just started doing the thing where my VA is organizing my inbox for me. Oh my God, I didn't realize how important that was going to be. That's changed my life in the last 60 days. Because when at the end of the day, I instead of 150 emails, I had 12 emails that actually mattered.
Yeah.
There's a quick plug. There's a software me and Jesse found maybe a month ago called Fixer AI, and it's FYXE or wait, how do you spell it?
Yeah,
I can't remember. I'll send you the link.
ER.ai.
Yeah, and it does exactly that, except for instead of a person like your VA doing it for you, AI does it, and it does it exactly like you were talking about. It does number 1, you need to respond. Number 2, this is for your information, and it breaks it out into 7 different folders, exactly like they talk about it and Buy Back Your Time, but it's AI. Yeah. And then it automatically drafts responses for you based on it reads your emails and sees how you reply, and basically automatically drafts. I sent a deal out to somebody the other day, and it had NOI calculations. If you bought this deal and you changed the rent to this, yada, yada, yada. And he replied back and was like, hey, what if we offered this price? The draft it formulated, plugged in numbers and cap rates, and it was accurate. Nice. My mind was blown. I was like, holy cow.
And that stuff's going to get better, right?
100%.
6 months ago, it wouldn't have been good, right? Every month, these things are getting better. So we have the privilege of understanding technology maybe at a higher level than our peers, especially real estate is an old business, right? I know guys that have their database is not even Excel. It's still like a Word doc or whatever, right? They've been in the business for 30 years. They won't we're phasing into that kind of, and then have you heard of this thing terracotta?
Yeah.
We had him on the
Yeah.
podcast early on.
Oh, okay. So I'm not a fan of that, right? Like I have a method to my madness. When I'm calling, I like to know what I'm calling and having like we're not selling widgets, right? We're not selling landscaping or things like this where everyone it's going to be like a one box fits all. It's very particular, and there is a people aspect to this. So I like when my VA I like it when he responds because he sounds like a human. And it gets to a point where I don't know, there's give and take. I'm not there yet with everything AI. I like to have some more control, but because like the email that you sent out, it could have been completely wrong. Like I was doing something with ChatGPT the other day, and like it was just wrong, right? Like I just know it was wrong. Like it made something up. It does that, right? Like
Yeah, it does.
the
100%.
more you learn about these LLMs, like it's like they're great. They're great for it's a good assistant. That's how I treat these things. They're a good tool, like Excel. Like like I do all my math. Excel for me is just a giant calculator, right? I have like I have an Excel sheet with 5 different tabs with like different calculations inputs on them, so I can just boom, 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 like instead of taking out my TI calculator. So it's like there's a place for this, and every 6 months we'll have this conversation of what's a good tool, what's better, what's not better. Every 6 months something new is going to come out. It's how you put that into your workflow. What works for you and I guess your budget at that time. The VA I like it better because I've had Christian's been working with us for 3 years now. And it's like, if I have something new to give him, I don't have to or something comes up, he'll just call me and say, hey, XYZ, whatever. So it's more, I like that P2P, like person-to-person style interface.
For sure. Yeah. So going back to that, or go ahead, Jesse.
Well, I was just going to say that I think, all the AI tools are great, but at the end of the day, having a person to rely on that'd be able to hand stuff, just be like, hey, can you just focus on this for a second and they get it done for you? That's such a stress relief. It's such a mental clarity thing. It's awesome to be able to go to. So
yeah,
I do think people is still number one, 100%, and it will be for a long time.
Especially
sure.
like lists and stuff, organizing Excel sheets, things like that. It's like I used to love doing that stuff when I was new. I would find like Zen and like going through the Excel sheets, organizing everything, getting the call list ready for next week, whatever. It's like, but it's like I don't have time for it now. But it's like these guys are doing it while I'm doing other stuff. And it's great. It's so great.
Yeah. So going back to that question I asked a little while ago about kind of like your team, what would you recommend people building out? What would be like your first 2 or 3 people you'd hire? Because you said you were in a brokerage team and you guys did over $1 billion in transactions, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
If you're a broker / investor and you want to maximize, like I know Buy Back Your Time talks about you should hire a executive assistant first. Do you feel the same way, or what would you do?
Our business is a bit different. I would so I break it up 3 categories now: marketing, operations, underwriting. And in that order is how I will hire time and time again. The thing I hate the most is making these offering memorandums. I'm not an artist. I don't have the eye. I can look through it and like the last revision and do the revisions. I know what I'm looking for. I know how I like to articulate and present data. That's what I care about the most. Investment overview and highlights. The highlights is what I focus more on, not the overview. So that's marketing was the first thing we hired, and it was great because making OMs takes time. And our OMs were like, we always got compliments on them from even our competition. 2 of our marketing associates. The last 2 we had were poached from CBRE and JLL. That's a compliment because we did it differently. Because I'm very keen on data presentation. If you could, even our investment decks, right? Like I show them differently than the guys that have $100 million funds. I show mine differently that are just they're easier for the basic investor, right? It shows you everything you need. And there's no sales in it. It's just like, I like to present numbers in a very specific way. And I think that's important for everything. And then underwriting, that's last because I like to underwrite my deals. And finding someone to underwrite for you takes some time. We have an underwriter right now. He's great. I trust him. He looks at deals the way I look at deals. So it's like I trust him highly, very highly there. And then middle is operations. that's the email. That's the executive assistant, basically, right? Email, like the marketing guy can do your email blasts and that stuff, right? That email campaigns, postcards, whatever. But the email responding, things like that, it's like breaking that. That's a different person. That's kind of like that's your right hand man, right? And if you can afford that right hand man, get that right hand man. Because you at that point, it's going to take off things from your plate, so you're not in your inbox, but you're on the phones more, talking to clients, talking to sellers, buyers, whoever it may be, or you're on the road more, right? FaceTime is the most important thing. And if you're the worst thing in the world is when you get back home after being on the road for 2-3 days and your inbox is just like, what is this? Like, what's going on? Or nothing's happening. People are waiting for you, right? It's like it's so much better when, like, I don't know, Christian's like, hey, I know you're going to be on the road in the next 2 days. These 3 emails are important. Check them out. And either I can tell them what to send or I can just draft something on my phone real quick. And it's like I'm keeping tabs on the most important things.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, Jesse and I have talked a lot about exactly what you said earlier, where you were talking about how no matter what you're doing, like you had something come up in the morning, you had plans to call for a couple hours or whatever at 8:30, but then a fire came up. And then after that fire came up, you other guys were still doing your thing. So it's like, we've talked a lot about that. It's like, we got to have a mailing system going at all times. We've got to have, time blocks where we can call constantly, or like you said, maybe even outsource some of the calling. We obviously, the best use of our time is calling, but then having email blasts going out that's consistent, and even like content stuff. I don't know if you know anything with that, but that seems to be a decent lead source. So it's like,
well, in the beginning when I had no staff, like I would use Constant Contact, right? Yeah. On Saturday and Sunday, I would schedule all that stuff in the beginning of the week, right? It's like automate as much as you can until you outpace that, and then it's like, my VAs automate stuff, right? Like for themselves, because they have other stuff to do. And the more they can do, the more useful I am. The more efficient everyone on your team can get, everyone's ROI increases. Like, buy back your time. Like those principles, those YouTube videos, I go over that stuff with my my international team, right? Like, because we talk about it. I get on a call with them. We talk about that stuff. So we're all learning, there's having one person just do one thing, like a 21st century coal miner is stupid, right? That's not worth anyone's time. You just
for sure.
Tell us how you kind of balance doing all this brokerage work and trying to buy deals. What does conversations look like with owners? Like, let's say that your junior guy. Let's just do this example. So your junior guy books you an appointment. You go into the deal, and you're like, "Dang, like we should buy this." What is that? How does that look? What does that conversation usually look like? How does it go?
It comes up. It happens. At the end of the day, it's like, if the junior agent wants to sell the deal, we're going to do that, right? If it's their lead, we're going to go off their whatever they want to do. Sometimes you can have the conversation. If it's appropriate, you got to gauge the room, right? It's like, is this guy going to sell to me? Probably not. All right, let's not even talk about it. It is what it is. There's no, because again, it's like, it's a good deal, but it's like, again, abundance mentality, right? I've listed dozens of deals that I would have loved to purchase, but at the end of the day, it's like you got to do what's right in that situation. It's not no magic bullet, no one shot, one thing. Like, I have a client that we've worked with a lot in the past. Before we listed, he's like, "Hey, would you buy this?" I'm like, this isn't for me. I'm not that. This isn't my criteria or whatever. And the guys, the tier 2, tier 1 guys understand that. We had a deal listed on market for 6 months, and we ended up buying it. It's like we went under contract twice with 2 other groups, and it's the seller. Like, I told him, I like this deal. He's like, "Why don't you buy it?" I'm like, "Can I? Like, would you be okay with that?" He's like, "Yeah. Like, if I don't care." That we closed that deal last month. We syndicated it. The seller actually is still in the deal. He's one of our LPs in the deal now because he liked the deal too. He just needed capital for something else, another deal. And it's like, it's very person to person. And you got to be like, what's your biggest focus on, right? I don't want to ruin. I have a reputation in the market. People appreciate and respect my opinions on things. I'm not gonna. I know guys that would lowball offering. Like, I'm not. You could. it's a small world. Like news travels fast. If you try to take advantage of someone, people are going to find out very quickly. There's no, you can't convince me otherwise.
100%. It's like you said earlier. It's a long-term game, and like I tell people too. Like I've heard people get frustrated and stuff with other brokers or whatever it may be, and it's like, well, the chances that they're going to have a listing that you want in a year from now are very high. Like you're going to deal with this person again, especially like 20%. I think it's a stat. Like it's not. Or it's just a saying, but I think it's very true. 20% of the brokers are doing 80% of the deals.
Yeah.
Same thing with investors too. It's like 20% of the people buying deals are doing 80% of the actual buying the deals. So it's like you're probably going to run into the same people over and over and over again. But if you develop a good relationship, I mean, that's like, I feel like one of the only reasons I've been able to be a little bit successful is because when I get a listing or something, somebody will call me who I know and they're like, hey man, how are you? It's a good, how are you doing? And it's because I've done a deal with that person, or even if I haven't done a deal, I've always been respectful and nice to them. And you develop a relationship with someone, and then it just makes doing a deal so much easier, whether it's a broker deal or whether it's you're actually buying a deal or selling a deal. It's just so much better when you're respectful and have established yourself and been nice to people.
Yeah, 100%. And there's sometimes people will call me and like, oh, why aren't you buying the deal? I'm like, this isn't what I buy, like, right? Like, or it goes both ways. You just like, and you just have to have a real conversation. You can't be like you've heard the salesy broker, right? Like I put in an offer earlier in the week on something. It was like a small garage next to something I already own, and it sold for way more than I ever thought it would sell for. Whatever. And it's like he was just like so salesy, and I'm like, what is this? Like, this is a weird process that I'm going through. I'm like, when you hear people shit talk brokers or whatever, I'm like, I get it. Like, this is, I've been like, if I'm buying something, I've seen that. I'm like, this is pushy. I know how I like to do things and how I like to invest in my properties and like how I like to go through my under contract process. And there's like, it doesn't have to be a contentious process. You're going to be under contract for 60 to 90 days, right? Like, it doesn't have to be contentious. It doesn't have to be like, we're not selling the Taj Mahal here, or like, this isn't like a high stakes thing. It's like, if you're priced right, you're going to get multiple buyers. Set expectations properly and things will get done correctly, right? It's about setting expectations. I think is the most important. I never, I have a saying, like my guys will tell you, Craig and Nick will tell you, like, I never give good news. I don't like giving good news or perceive. If someone says, oh, I'm going to write an offer, I'll never call the seller and be like, hey, I'm going to get an offer. No, like, and when I do get that offer, I send it, they're like, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, it's an offer. Like, let's go through the process. Even if like, I'm like, I can tell you what I know, but I don't know what's going to come up. I don't want to I don't want to be in the situation with the guys like, you said this, you said that. No, I don't. I also tell them there's no such thing as great real estate. Everything sucks. Some things just suck less. Like it,
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's just like, because it's not like selling stocks, right? Like, you can buy Tesla and Meta all day. You know what you're getting there. We're buying assets that multiple people have owned. They're older properties, right? In Pennsylvania, like we're selling things built in 1950, like 1920s sometimes, especially in Philadelphia. You're gonna get what you're gonna get. Set expectations properly.
100%, 100%. Man, I think we don't want to take too much of your time. I think we're coming up on an hour here. This has been very insightful to me. Hopefully will be also to other people who are, whether you're a broker or whether you're an investor, you want to get into the business. I think that you dropped a lot of knowledge, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny. We're actually, we have your business partner, Craig, later today at 2:30. It just worked out to where you guys are on the same day, which is funny. So we're really excited to talk to him too. But if people want to reach out to you and get connected, whether they want you to help them with brokerage stuff or investing stuff in your area, what's the best place for them to do it?
Call me, text, email. If you want to get my attention as fast as possible, call me. That's the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay. Do you want us to put your number in the description or?
Yeah, email and phone number is fine.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Well, thanks so much, man. We really appreciate you coming on here and sharing so much knowledge. It's been a great episode.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Sure. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.